Now, what's up again, everybody in the chat? I'm pretty sure some of y'all see that old Tasha K over there is re-uploading some old content, triggering people as usual. And it should be very clear why I've always said that she has been the number one person that has fueled a lot of my content from the beginning, considering look at her platform, the numbers on her platform, and all the stuff that she has spewed on her platform that a lot of people have thought was so true, so accurate. But then when they came to the realization that, hey, maybe some of the stories she's telling ain't so true, ain't so accurate, when it came to R. Kelly, people still refused to hold her accountable for the misinformation. And that's crazy to me. So we're going to go to the clip that got everybody triggered that she released today and what was said. Hold on one second.
Okay, I have them. It's 400 pages looking for her. And no, I'm not putting no damn baby picture here. I'm just letting you know us. He's trying to use his, had her stay at the house while telling the baby look like a mama because her mama done had so much damn surgery.
Now, before we get into the clip, let's remember that what was going on at this time and that, you know, Drea Kelly, after she participated in Surviving R. Kelly, she herself wanted to come back around the corner when they kept on doing their little spinoffs, talking about she wanted to sue Lifetime. Y'all remember that? At the same time, she was putting on this big display of how R. Kelly was financially abusing her. She was telling the world about the fact that she was being manipulated and all this other bull crap. But what I was presenting to my audience was the very solid fact that whether she knew it or not, she was being used as the catalyst for all of these other people to give them validity. See, when you bring in the wife and then you bring in all these other accusers and you got all the sad music in the background playing, of course, the story they present is so believable. And it could have a prosecutor such as Kim Fox sitting there looking at this like, I'm sickened and appalled. Let's see how we could prosecute these allegations. And then when she congregates with the likes of a Michael Avenatti and they get to doing all this other janky stuff, which should have been challenged from the beginning, the same way that these people came out saying that R. Kelly was going to be suing Lifetime, the same way Drea Kelly come out talking about she wanted to sue Lifetime. Again, if any of these people had followed through and did what they should have did way back then, maybe it would have been a different sequence of events that we saw playing out. But nonetheless, let's continue with the clip.
To look like Chloe, okay? Look at the bitch, okay? Khloe Kardashian. Now, all the R. Kelly's lawyers dragging Drea Kelly into court. Now, this is why R. Kelly is locked up now for intimidating witnesses, okay? He did.
Now, listen to what she's saying right here. She's saying this is why R. Kelly is locked up now. It ain't because her and a congregation of individuals colluded to get all these stories and help them go viral to reach the mainstream media. She leave that part out. She leave that she was behind the scenes passing information. She leaves out a whole lot when she said that's why he's in jail. Okay, it's a lot of factors as to what these people did to strategically put that man in jail that I couldn't get jiggy with watching all of this play out. But anywho,
back when they charged him back in 2007. As a matter of fact, he paid the family off, Sparkle's family, moved the little girl in, okay? Had her stay at the house while he was leaving the house to go to court to fight a case against her. Now, that's the reason why his ass is locked up now and why they are not naming the girls that they are charging charging him with and who's on the takes because of this very thing. So now he's trying to use his lawyers to muscle up against Drea Kelly so that she won't testify against his ass, which means they are in what they call divorce court, going through those 400-page records. Okay, I have them. It's 400 pages, looking for her confidentiality agreement that she signed, never to make any sort of allegation in order to protect their kids. That's what the confidentiality agreement read. I'm just letting you know. I seen this shit, okay?
See, that's that misinformation bull crap. Because the same way these people try to villainize certain non-disclosure agreements that came with specific settlements that people claim they got, okay? Same thing with this divorce. It came with stipulations. And with those stipulations, of course, as a prominent singer such as Robert Kelly, why would you want your spouse being able to do pretty much what Korean Steffens did, for example, which is put all their business in a book? Now, if she wanted to go on and do her little career, that's one thing, as people saw when she made her appearance on the Little Housewives show. Again, when they saw her then, she had nothing but praises for R. Kelly. The problem is that a lot of people want to leave out this man didn't want to be associated with certain things. He didn't want his name tied to certain things, and that could be reasonable, right? Instead of people trying to make it seem like, oh, he forbade her from going out and speaking anything against him, when clearly if she was witness to any crimes, any of that would be null and void. That would be common sense if that were the case. But that wasn't the case, and that's the point that I'm making. But anyways.
And so Drea Kelly was forbidden to even talk, and so was R. Kelly. They didn't want any salacious rumors or allegations made to the public so that the media like us could profit and their kids could not be teased in school. That's exactly what it said. Now, I'm going to be following whether or not she does violate the confidentiality agreement, but I doubt it because the kids are now adults. R. Kelly is at the center of a huge federal indictment, and I don't think that confidentiality agreement is going to stand. But what R. Kelly is going to do, he real petty, okay? He done gave her all that money and back child support, so while he's dragging her ass in court over a technicality in a confidentiality agreement, all he's going to do is drain that damn money and force that bitch to go get a job that she's not going to get. Ever. Do I believe that her ass should be locked up? Yep, because she slept with children too. And don't forget, today we are off.
Now, pause. The end, she says she believes she should be locked up too because she slept with children too, according to her. Now, it's the same person that she could have went and elaborated, considering she had all this source information. Considering if you followed the case, you would know some of the allegations that were thrown around in court, especially when it came to Drea Kelly and this freaky deaky tape. And what gets me when people talk about this infamous tape is people run right to the speculations, the gossip, the he say, she say, and never think for themselves to say that, hypothetically speaking, if this man is on film with his wife and his jump off, for example, and some people are trying to extort him and he's trying to get this video back to save her from being embarrassed, you see how this go? Same thing when it came to surviving R. Kelly. For her to come back and say she gonna stay tuned to see if she violated the terms, well, clearly it would be obvious she violated, regardless of her talking about them being adult age now, considering didn't she take her ass back to court because they were still pursuing further education in college? So shouldn't the same stipulations apply that even though they're not in K through 12, they're still in active school, and it still would give a bad impression considering their mother is front line and center into these allegations that people want to skirt around. So now let's go back to the recruiting stuff that they claim Robert Kelly was doing. And people want to skip past the fact that even people like Lisa Ray, who said that she is the one who introduced the wife, Why is it always tried to be spent that this man was recruiting girls? He was out here at his concert trying to pick girls out and sending his little flunkies to go and get this girl and that girl, when I could be more likely to believe that people were trying to send out girls to get with him. If you go to a club and it's supposed to be 18 and up, and you're under the impression all of these people are 18 and up, why would there even be a thought to your brain to even check certain things or go above and beyond? Like, people felt like, oh, well, he should have did this, he should have did that. It's a lot of he should have and he could have did. But at the end of the day, when I viewed all of the information that I began to dive into, it should be clear some of the points that I made. So what I'm going to do tonight is we're going to reflect on a couple of the videos that I've put back in the past. And I'm going to show you how I break down the content, the message within this, because we all know that these individuals involved, they know how to abuse certain copyright, privacy strikes, and things like that, especially when I put on public display that this is the tactic they use when they want to censor content creators. The biggest problem I've had with all these people following the topic at hand is that it's one thing for people to recognize that as a content creator and you start on a specific topic or whatever the case may be, you're going to have people, whether they're your supporters or not, who are going to send you information that they want to be talked about. So with that being said, that's one thing. But the problem will come into play when you see these people who like to send in information go from person to person sending this information. But then people have a problem when you don't follow in the trend in pushing out certain narratives attached to certain information. So what I like to do, what my angle has always been, was to put it out there on open display and let my audience come to the conclusion of what they think about the things that they are seeing unfold, past and present. And when we revisit it, such as now, what we're going to do, it may give a little more clarity as to how I structure my content for all of those people who say they have been so confused they can't understand that even if you put the collages aside and just listen to what I say, you can go and look at the paperwork, you can go and look at all the stories that have been put out here, and you can realize why these narratives being formed by people like Tasha K, who started off her statements and saying that this is why R. Kelly is in jail, because he was harassing and threatening and paying off victims and all that. That was the narrative, right? But we have come to the conclusion that this is false. We know for a fact Robert Kelly was not harassing or trying to intimidate no witnesses. We do know that there's other individuals that would like to say that they did this and that on R. Kelly's behalf. The problem I come in with is why people acting so oblivious to what has structured this so-called RICO and why they were able to go into the court and present this type of storyline, then go back to the jury and say, well, even though we charging this man with running a criminal enterprise, the elements in which these people and the duties that these people carried out don't necessarily have to be criminal. Somebody make it make sense. If somebody starts a drug company, if they move and wait, for example, they know exactly what they're doing is criminal, right? Ain't no way you're going to sit up here and tell me that this person can establish a legal business and these people can be acting in a legal occupancy, but all of a sudden, because we want to villainize the man, we're going to take these people's stories, take what these people said they did for this man, and exclude the fact that they're saying they never saw any minors, they didn't see this, they didn't see that. Because if you think about it, if you look at all the receipts that I've dropped, including if you go back to Demetrius Smith, he told us off the gate that R. Kelly told him way back in the 90s, even stemming from this Aaliyah saga, that he couldn't work with people under the age of 18. So when I keep hearing these people spin these narratives that this man was preying on underage girls, and you have a witness such as Cheryl Mack, who also wrote a book, who also pushed younger girls onto Robert Kelly, in my opinion, because she wanted to be a janky ass manager to them. So with that being said, how can we then turn back around and say that Robert Kelly was recruiting women when it's more evident that some of these people who wanted to be manager and all in the background doing shit on R. Kelly's behalf were doing shit on their own behalf, but using R. Kelly's name? That's been the problem I've had with a lot of these people on these platforms that want to run out here and say free R. Kelly 1 minute, but then when they do some criminal ass shit, they want people to turn a blind eye to it and act like we don't see it. That ain't what we doing. But anyways, let's get into the first video that I'm going to break down, because again, it does include screenshots, collages, all of the information that I collected and began to, I guess, present as I gave my commentary. Because what people fail to realize is, even if you want to try to discredit my receipts, if you want to run with the theme that my receipts are fake, it ain't gonna change my commentary on the matter. So when I go back and I come and break down why I put it like this, again, I give you the option to do what you want with the information. I'm not here to beat a dead horse. I just drop my content and let it be what it is. If you understood it, you understood it. If you heard what I said, that's what it is. But it wasn't necessary for me to be live every single day for all these years talking about the same shit. Okay. So let me share my screen. So the first video I'm sharing, I put this out, let's see when I put this out, 3 years ago. And the title is going to tell you exactly the mind frame and the message that I'm presenting. So the title says, Miscarriage of Justice. Pause right there. I'm setting the stage to let the people know that what I see being unveiled before me is a miscarriage of justice. And it didn't matter if you were for R. Kelly or against Robert Kelly. The things that I saw moving around that helped get some of these participants in line and get them to cooperate are some of the red flags that signal to me that these people were not credible, such as opening it up. You had to the left. Some of you may not remember when Geronda Pace and Joycelyn's mother was on live, and then they was doing a whole lot of talking. But from there, people forget. The media is telling everybody these people don't know each other. So move to the right, top corner, you have the Savages and Lisa Van Allen, the person that was supposed to be the star witness from the 2008 saga, right? She was the one who fueled the front line of all of this information in talking about I was 17. And she was the very first one that I exposed telling you all, hey, this girl was not 17. She was not a minor. So it should let people know the games these people were willing to go through. And the fact that they let this woman get all the way up on the stand before it becomes relevant. Hey, we now know that she wasn't a minor, even though all this time has passed and we beat in the public's head that this man was trafficking minors, targeting minors. He's sadistic. He needs to be off the streets. They went to the grand jury with specific individuals to testify and get their proffers in order to get this man locked up. This is what I'm giving you all in the same breath. It started out with them name dropping people like Asante McGee. At first, they told us when there was a specific social media account by the name of 97 Baby Girl on IG. At first, they came out talking about it was her. And then they came out talking about it was Cash. But if you really want my opinion now, I'm thinking we're looking at somebody in these photos that was behind that account. that wanted to push certain people out to the public because they want us to believe that everything they were doing was an effort to get their daughter back. Their daughter was a hostage. Their daughter was a sex slave, etc., etc. So move to the bottom right of the same photo. Let's think about all we see now playing out with this Maxwell chick. Let's think about what I've been saying about all of these corporations that have conveniently profited so much, pushing all of this hate agenda against Robert Kelly. For these people to then run to Sony and then talk about mute R. Kelly, all this and all that, it just seemed like hypocrisy to me. So when we go back to the title of this video, Miscarriage of Justice, Tasha K versus Joycelyn Savage parents expose their own lies, the enterprise. So again, if what I believe I'm witnessing on these platforms is a gang of people who are criminally conspiring against Robert Kelly, that is the nature of the title and the topic that I'm going to present within this video. And with that, you have to keep in mind, I only have so much time in the videos that I want to drop. I want to put as much information as possible. So again, if it was necessary to go back, pause, look a little bit, that's one thing. If it was one thing to look at what I'm presenting and then go and check out these people, the stories connected to what I'm presenting, that's another thing. But to look at what I'm presenting and then try to discredit it like it's a conspiracy, well, duh, all of this is a conspiracy. And what I'm telling you is it's a conspiracy against Robert Kelly. Now, if you were a supporter of him, you would have been thinking on how can I spread more awareness to this conspiracy instead of adding more fuel to the fire of confusion while trying to make everybody believe that people like me who see what's going on are adding to the confusion instead of exposing it. But let's get into the video.
It's a lot of fake personas on this internet. And while all these people would do things like invite people on their platform to identify Jane Does and enable certain storylines,
let's go back.
Things like invite people on their platform to identify Jane Does.
Now, from what I just told you about Lisa Van Allen and how she was the leading lady, in my opinion, in the extortion that I began to unravel. What irritated me is watching the government come back and supersede and then try to act like this man was obstructing justice to bring in Daryl McDavid and June Brown under this obstruction of justice. They miss a whole bunch of other charges. They acquit Daryl McDavid and June Brown of obstruction, but nobody ever comes back around to the extortion that was clear as day going on. And while people sit here and had so much faith in people on social media, all I'm asking is, why was the people who were around all this time missing in action when it came to the trial? When we saw at the very beginning, a lot of these people had access to these people, like the DJ Wayne Williams. We saw the Janky Olsen twins on here, which is a symbolic representation of what you see now. You had the Lisa Van Allen, you had Wayne Williams to the left, and you had them Janky Olsen twins. And you will also notice that I tie in other people that were associated to them. So who you saw next to the Olsen twins on the bottom right is Regina King. I believe that was her last name. And if y'all remember her daughter had ended up in a little situationship with R. Kelly. Again, she was adult consenting age. People didn't like that. So when people try to spin these stories about R. Kelly did this, R. Kelly did that, and he likes younger girls, that does not mean he likes minors. Just because people don't believe that someone that's, let's say, 30, 40 years old shouldn't be dating a 20-year-old, for example. Someone 50-year-old shouldn't be dating a 20-something-year-old. That's all moral choices that I've been saying from day one, has nothing to do with the topic at hand. So with that being said, where were these people at? It's a whole lot of individuals that were missing from a so-called enterprise that the government was trying to sell that I just couldn't buy. Also, on the bottom right, you can see that I also pulled an article that was talking about Lisa Van Allen's association with the same lady that I was just talking about with the Olsen twins here, simply because she was then trying to spin that narrative that she was 17. So just think about it. If when that article was printed, if the person who did their diligence had researched it and came to the realization that she was not 17, you see how different this could have went if people were accurately reporting the information instead of running with what he said, she said. And then when all of this stuff escalate, all these years pass and people are so convinced on what they feel and what they believe, can't nobody tell them shit.
And enable certain storylines. People got mad at me because
when they kept saying that R. Kelly was holding a cult. You know what? I'ma just mute this first, run through the video, do my breakdown, and then come back to the video and see if it makes a little more sense that way. Because I don't want to keep starting and stopping while the video's playing when the video again has its own message within it. So with that being said, this slide right here, they like to run with the, oh, she's copy paste. First of all, you can't copy paste these images. They're called collages. They're called digital editing. So if I take a screenshot and I combine them for the purpose that I just told you earlier, which was because I only have so much time within these videos to present my message. I only have so much, I guess, patience in trying to put the story together with limited, with limited technology. So at that time, what I did again was say, hey, it would make sense to me if when I relay the information that I came across, I could visually see where I was going in case I forget this or forget that. So to me, when I originally started with the collages, it was more so for me. But at the end of the day, I also realized other people can take from it as well. They can take the context clues and go and do their own research. That's how that went, period. All these new people coming in with their opinions and all that other bullshit, they can go suck a dick. So anywho, back to Lisa Van Allen. So we already built it up. We saw the savages over there with Geronda Pace. We already know that Geronda Pace came out accusing Drea Kelly of, I guess scamming her. And then, like I say, people want to skip around how Drea was even introduced to R. Kelly. People will skip around how people implicated her in dealing with some of these individuals, including having threesomes at the back of the bus and all this other stuff. So when people wanted to skirt around these because they wanted to keep her as the perfect victim, as a battered wife, this is the problem that I have with this clip that Tasha K wanted to bring back now after the fact, talking about, oh, she should be in jail with him now. But people don't understand what I said when I was saying, as much as she was getting on her platform talking, she only was getting on there exposing these people. So with Lisa Van Allen being exposed, then she come out here and expose the information that I had already put out here about this girl named Birdie. So when I listen to them Olsen twins get on supporters page and they talk about somebody named Beverly, the little light bulb went on. I started to connect the dots. I recall the information, the articles I stumbled across talking about Atlanta Prado and how at that time, before all of these people came into mix, it was being alleged that Lisa Van Allen and this girl, Atlina Prado, was in a video. So when people started to mix and match these stories about these settlements that R. Kelly did, they forget that a lot of information would have been exposed from those settlements. For example, even when it came to Lisa Van Allen and these people teaming up saying that R. Kelly has a cult, it has been documented that Lisa Van Allen came from that type of lifestyle. It is public record that an individual by the name of Damon Pryor, who was a body double for Robert Kelly, who was also in Sparkle's Be Careful video, was affiliated with Dr. York and calling himself Baby York, and pretty much tried to take over the whole Nubian nation. So when I see that some of these characters who came out talking about R. Kelly, he got a cult, and I see that they come from backgrounds that breed cult activity, it should also be clear why I side-eyed all of these characters from the beginning, especially when articles such as the one at the top right can be readily found if you typed in these people's names. Atlina Prado, Lisa Van Allen. She got on Lifetime talking about a Chuck and Keith. And then when they end up on the witness stand and they can flip the fact that they were trying to extort this man and flip it into an obstruction of justice. And then you got somebody like Tasha K getting on her platform talking about, oh, well, he had the little girl staying here and the little girl this and the little girl that. And everybody listening to that don't know that this same young woman was his goddaughter. Her dad worked for him. Whatever situation they had set up was that. But to try to villainize it and speculate on what they thought because they wanted to spin these narratives is sick and demonic. At the end of the day, you can also look at the fact that this girl that they talk about was also participating in a singing group. So when Sparkle came out here talking about, oh, I just wanted my nieces, I wanted to put everybody on and this and that and this and that. Well, again, it seemed like these people were working. It seemed like everybody was cool. So the problem I would then have is, why is it when she didn't get a certain thing in her favor, now somehow she magically contacts Jim Derogatis, who's been spinning all of these stories, and this is the same individuals that them savages contact with their story that Robert Kelly has a cult, has their daughter as a sex slave, etc., etc., and people don't start to put together the information that I've put out here about these individuals and about all of the things they said that makes them look suspect as hell. So anywho, covered that. Got the Lisa Van Allen and the Birdie, aka Beverly, which is who they identified her on the supporter side. You had her coming out saying that she wasn't on the tape. Then you had her making the post boldly declaring that she went to the grand jury and testified, but she was not a victim. But at the same time, you can see that the government don't care if these girls want to declare themselves a victim or not. They don't care if they wanted R. Kelly in jail or not. They needed to facilitate these bad acts by using them, which has had a lot of them feeling salty, if, in my opinion, to this day, especially if you consider the fact a lot of these people don't come from money. So if they were in a fucked up situation to begin with, and they thought that this was going to be their come up, and all these years later, even after some of them got their little conviction and thought they was going to get their restitution, made their deals with the government, they sitting back here still looking salty because they ain't got shit to show for it. When all of these people came to the internet attacking Kip, for example, the private investigator claims that Kip wasn't available to be subpoenaed, but we saw the games that was being played and why it would be more likely and why people were not put on the stand to defend Robert Kelly. These people wanted who they wanted, but at the end of the day, Kip confirmed a whole lot of information on these platforms. So for people to claim they supported Robert Kelly, to come out so hard to discredit him and to keep trying to tie him into this Aaliyah situation, when I put on public display, they already knew who the government witness who was facilitating the charge affiliated with Aaliyah was Demetrius Smith. So when you had people like Kip, who could have been a witness, who had so much information he could have provided, and you have a gang of individuals who have had affiliations with Robert Kelly, such as Lisa Van Allen, then you think about somebody at the bottom right, which was Dillion Richard, coming out with her story on how her husband ended up calling the FBI because apparently she was in a tape with R. Kelly and people were trying to extort her. So when people wonder why I keep throwing this term that I felt like they were trying to extort the man, it's clear as day. If they tried to extort Dillion Richards, what would make anybody act like it's impossible or far-fetched that they were doing the same thing to Robert Kelly? So when I said the people around him, they probably should have did like her husband back then and called the feds instead of letting these people keep running around here with these tapes and go from talking about 1 minute it's an R. Kelly sex tape to now it's CP, even though you can look up this same tape. It's still on the internet. Nobody has gone to jail for manufacturing it, but they took their ass into court and try to make it seem like it's R. Kelly's fault, primarily because they said he recorded it, and these people, I guess you could say, tampered with it and distorted it, then manufactured it and distributed it. So how do you make R. Kelly to blame for that when you didn't prosecute any of these people, any of these companies that were selling the so-called CP? You haven't went after these sites that still have the videos uploaded. It makes no sense. At this particular time, I'm putting this imagery out because I've already broken down about Lisa Van Allen, and you can't see his face in the top of the picture, but that was Yul Brown. And he also came out talking about he had involvement with this whole tape. But again, we didn't see him in the court. We didn't see him subpoenaed. We didn't see any of his statements that would lead one to believe, again, these people were trying to extort Robert Kelly. And in my opinion, Yul Brown was trying to use Lisa Van Allen to do it. But at the same time, while I'm breaking down that information on YouTube, to the left, all of these distractions just kept going and going and going. And what irritated me about the distractions to the left about this defense fund is, number one, nobody had to donate to it. Number two, the attorneys verified it. The Janky Olsen twins verified it. Many other people verified it. But for years, people were able to come out here and monopolize the fact that I personally wasn't going to be out here every single day talking about no defense fund. I made the point that all of the talking they were doing triggered the FBI to go investigate this same defense fund. So while the feds were investigating this defense fund, they out here doing all this other scamming that the feds clearly ain't investigating, because in my opinion, it revealed a whole lot of fraudulent shit going on out here. Anyways, you see, I'm pretty sure you can see how I'm putting it together, because like I said, it's all about time for me and trying to condense all of the information that people skip around that could be useful when they form their opinions about the subject. So just a minute ago, I told y'all about the chick Atlanta Prado making that declaration and talking about her going to the grand jury. This is when, if you go on under that picture, you see the Chicago state case and those 4 Jane Does. that is where I'm telling you, hey, maybe y'all need to go look at these proffers from the Chicago case. And then maybe you can understand why when people like Tasha K come on her platform and say, well, the reason why they're keeping these witnesses and victims anonymous is because R. Kelly is harassing and intimidating witnesses. That's a bald-faced lie. If you ask me my opinion, I believe they did this because it was part of their strategy to pull the wool over people's eyes, and the fact that these women were not children. So every time they got on these damn news platforms and all of these other platforms talking about he was targeting children, he was targeting minors, it's easy to keep running with that narrative when you don't put the faces of these grown-ass women out there. So to then try to flip the script and all these people that say they're here to help these so-called victims from the supporters who are so-called harassing and trying to intimidate them. And you see these same people connected with the people like the Olsen twins and having affiliations with other people from this so-called inner circle. It should make sense why I, Prima Donna, said I'm not going to be associating myself with these janky ass people because I see the play. They trying to keep facilitating this narrative that R. Kelly is harassing, intimidating, trying to pay off people, etc., etc. So then when people want to come out putting their cape on for Don Russell, and I tell the people exactly where my information came from that led me to look at him, which was you had the profiles on social media, which Snitch9 came out here and said, hey, you got my list. This is the list I put together. Then you had the other person on the social media platform saying that Snitch9 is telling misinformation. In my opinion, I believe, just my opinion, for entertainment purposes only, I believe it was them damn savages. More specifically, I believe it was Jongelyn behind the account that Tim don't seem to remember if it was Cash or Asante. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, when you had these people running the story that R. Kelly's accounts, social medias, all that was being terminated for this and that because he was harassing accusers, and then you had Don Muscle jump his motherfucking ass on these platforms, and all these super fans want to get around him talking about Don the Muscle. And I'm looking at them hella crazy, like, I know damn well they see the same shit that I see. I know damn well if they talking to Cash, she done told them the same shit she done told me. So ain't no way they're going to sit on these damn platforms and act like they don't know what the hell going on and or how the government can sit here and even go with this whole bullshit to imply that the defense team was doing some janky shit, which is why I said they were ineffective from the beginning. Again, information that I'm putting out here, regardless if you like me or not, you can go and look up when Home Alone came out. You can go and cross-reference Lisa Van Allen's birth date. You can go and type in her name in Google searches and other search engines so that you can see any information associated with her name. And you would have came to the people like Damon Pryor and Adelina Prado that I came across, and the way I associated them and how I came to the conclusion and facts that this same individual, Damon Pryor, was in fact in Sparkle's video. So let's think about this. All of this that I put right there. If Sparkle is the one who went to Jim Derogatis talking about this my niece in the video, if Sparkle had the body double in her video and he was dealing with Lisa Van Allen, why is it far-fetched to believe that these people were perfectly aware of the manipulation they were doing and why the niece was at the right age in constructing the lives that they were building? So if they needed a girl that fit the age category and the niece looked like the perfect age, and they had an individual who was good at manipulating videos and stuff like that, people want to sit here and act like, oh, it's AI, it's AI. Nobody ever said it was AI then. we clearly said it was manipulated, because you'd be a fucking fool if you don't believe that the technology was available for individuals to manipulate videos and photos. But the problem is it was a little bit more complicated. And the fact is it was more easily to identify the manipulation, especially when you slow down the images and you can see what's going on within the videos. So if you can see that they had one woman in the video and they put another image on top of it, we can say all day, yeah, it looked like Lisa Van Allen. Hey, it looked like Birdie. Hey, it looked like Sparkle. Hey, it looked like Drea Kelly. We can say all of that, but the point that I fucking made was that the tape was manipulated, and this was a fact that they fucking said out their own damn mouth. Okay? So then when I came back around the corner a couple weeks ago and I put in my Patreon and on my community wall the FBI report from 2006, it debunks a lot of the bullshit that these people have been on these platforms running with about this specific video. Because all I said clear as day while they was on here doing all this damn fundraising that didn't help R. Kelly, but think they gonna keep talking about me, about what I didn't do to help R. Kelly. Like I said, I was going to be on here to do that when I'm giving y'all so many facts that these people are too slow to comprehend. The fuck? Wouldn't you, if you doing all this fundraising, you got the private investigator, you got all this and all that, you got the money man, wouldn't y'all go get somebody to analyze these so-called videos? And then when you got people like Tasha K get they funky ass on these platforms and still to this day will act like it's so many videos, how come if that were the case and the people that went to the trial can confirm, where were all these damn tapes at? These people had to refer to the damn shit that was presented way back in the first trial. Make it make sense. So essentially, this what that means. You had the people who they were presenting as R. Kelly's sisters on YouTube. They were cheerleading for the people who were doing this $1 million initiative, for example. Same people who thought they sit on the internet doing these late night chats talking about me, which is what the bottom right is a representation of. I sit there and I screenshot when they sit around talking about me, making reference to me, sending subliminals about me. And then if you go up to the top right, you will see some of these same individuals will be conversating with me, trying to give me misleading information, think I'm gonna come out here and say it. They eventually get on their platforms and say the stupid ass shit. Then they come back and get mad at me because I'm not going to come out here and say the dumb ass shit. Like, for example, trying to tell me Levi is Carrie Kelly. I'm not going to sit here and play with these motherfucking people. Even if hypothetically speaking, you want to go into the conspiracy realm and you think Levi got on a mask or some type of fake shit, I don't give a damn. I'm not here to speculate all that. How the fuck would I know if I don't know this fucking man? Why would I come out here on my platform and even acknowledge some stupid ass shit like that? And furthermore, why would people get mad? Because I just put this shit in my collages, and because they want to come out here and try to make people think that my collages are not legitimate, because I can literally break down each and every image in the collage and show you piece by piece with the dates on everything. They really be having me confused with a lot of these slow people out here, especially when what I'm presenting to you is the fact that what I just said, all this fraudulent shit you see in front of you, they wasted all their time with that when they could have went and got real people to get this man's charges thrown out at the beginning. Instead of letting them pile up, escalate, his indictments getting superseded, a RICO being formed, and the people that's part of the fucking RICO, they not being charged, but they out here playing in people's face. I can't make this shit up. So that's why I screenshotted everything, because if I just got on my platform and for example, even this video, if I just got on my platform and I just told y'all what I just told y'all before I start showing y'all these screenshots, somebody could come and be like, she's making it up, she's lying, this, that, and that, and that's cool. You can think that, but I'm just telling you the way I presented it was to let you know that if anything were to pop off, I got the actual receipts. I don't need the collages that confuse them, okay? Again, I was minding my business until certain fake profiles just started posting my pictures, posting Dana pictures. When you had so-called people supporting Robert Kelly, posting my pictures, posting Dana pictures. I'm working against him. I'm working for the feds. All because they stupid ass don't want to read the motherfucking paperwork and just want to be on here as a distraction. Plenty of these profiles should have been investigated by the feds to see who's the account holder, because that ain't my damn job. If I screenshot the shit, I put it on display, that's about all I intend to do. People talking about, oh, you should just file a report, do this and that. For what? I'm not going to be keep filing no false reports like Tiny Tim did. That's what a lot of people want to skip around. That's what this is a symbolic representation of. Because again, when Don Russell brought his motherfucking ass on these platforms, I'm sitting there telling people that ain't R. Kelly manager. Then he came back out. He never said he was the manager, blah, 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 blah. But you doing all this shit, according to him, on R. Kelly's behalf. And the people out here saying R. Kelly out here harassing people, he doing that, and come to find out it was Don doing this shit. But because people want to keep sucking Don dick and then claiming, oh, I support Robert Sylvester Kelly, but I'm gonna suck Don Russell dick. Y'all wonder why I say I believe a lot of these people were more content dealing with the entourage, the inner circle, all these janky ass people. I don't even believe a lot of these people was for real with R. Kelly the way it be set up, because it don't make no damn sense. Even when you got people like Ashley McGee sitting right here telling her stories, and people not recognizing that what I'm presenting to you is that Ashley McGee wasn't testifying. Cheryl Mack was the one testifying. But because they weren't doing their research and they understand, and they wouldn't get that, and I'm still trying to figure out why certain names that they dropped were missing out of this so-called RICO, like this Kevin Giles guy right here, that Tim Savage, he done came back now that he done had a stroke again, trying to relive his storyline. He done brought his name back out there. He even brought up nephew name, who was also mentioned in court, that some of these people know on these YouTube platforms. It's just so much information, so much distortions, so much that I try to condense and put in a 10 to 14 minute video so that I recognize people have a short attention span. But that's why I've always challenged people to do their own research, because it ain't about how I present it. Like, for example, the way they came on these internets talking about this person scamming, this person scamming, this person scamming. But when I tell y'all, number one, why I started going into these R. Kelly fan groups was pretty much, I was just testing out a theory. Pretty much how Geronda Pace said she was so-called recruited on Facebook, on MySpace. I tested out this theory I had on Facebook. And what do you know? A whole bunch of weirdos popped the fuck up. That is so very ironic. But anywho, one person that I observed in these groups was Don Russell. This was before he was on YouTube. And at that time, he was giving the fans in those groups the impression that he was doing all this for R. Kelly. He was meeting with this attorney by the name of Brian Nix, that they had this little fund set up. Even came out talking about Greenberg was going to get fired, that he's pretty much going to be restricted and this and this and this and that. When it's brought to me that individuals in these fan groups were being led to send debit cards, all this other fun transactions to people. And then you had people saying that the individuals were saying that they work for R. Kelly. And I shoot this information over to Doug Anton. And at the same time, all of this is going on, you have these people keep running to YouTube, the defense fund, the defense fund, the defense fund. Even after the feds investigated, the defense fund, the defense fund, the defense fund. So all I'm saying is common sense would tell anybody. If you see people trying so hard to convince you that somebody else is scamming over here like that, it should give you the impression that you should look at the scamming ass shit they don't want you to look at they're doing, period. That's why they get mad at Prima, because as much as they wanted to say about Dana, I could turn right back around and say, but what about when you did this? When they say Dana did this and Dana did that, well, what about when you did that? For example, what do you see in front of you? Now, to the left, you already had the people who say they were against Robert Kelly coming at R. Kelly supporters. And then when we respond, they want to go send shit to the prosecutors talking about R. Kelly and his people are harassing these victims. But they want to skip all the shit that played out. From example, on the right, very top left, you had from 2017 on up, the savages out here doing a protest, doing all this shit, tagging R. Kelly, doing all this to make their noise because they said they wanted to get their daughter. Then you had them meeting up, getting their little information with Jim Derogatis. You see them getting their attorney coming out here. You see them getting together with Ashley McGee trying to pull out Angelo Clary. And this was what I've been telling people from the beginning is you can run with the conspiracies these nuts want to keep pushing, and that's Azriel was a mole or she was setting up R. Kelly from the Dolphin Hotel. You can believe that. I just refuse to believe that the perfect situation was presented to these people and they did nothing. If the police would have been called, you can believe the police would have followed up with a name like R. Kelly. And then when I doubled down on the fact that I pulled out the video from the Sheriff Grady, when he specifically said the Clarys never came to them, it should be abundantly clear why I presented to you all that the savages were the front leaders, that the savages and the Clarys fell out when the savages came out trying to distort who he claimed was threatening him. Now he went from saying James Mason to then directing it to Don Russell. So again, when the people see me presenting things like this, they get overly offended. They got to come out here windmilling. Prima Donna got Don Russell shit up there. First of all, maybe you should catch on to the fact that what I'm telling y'all goofy ass, since y'all got so much to say, y'all should go tell Don Russell to sit the fuck down somewhere. Because clearly what he doing is making shit worse. Clearly, instead of calling a bomb threat, which was traced back to his goofy ass, instead of putting out the cease and desist to Faith Rogers, which he clearly admitted to doing, instead of trying to sugarcoat all of this that I specifically said, why cloud all of the information with how you feel about how I presented it when all that I just said is a representation to what you're looking at? Even when it comes to Cass Jones coming saying surviving the lies was her idea and that Don Russell piggybacked off of it. So hypothetically speaking, let's say Cash helped these people start the problem with her stupid ass book. Then she came and wanted to be part of the solution. And then you got an opportunist to say, well, hey, I could do this and I could do that. And he ended up making the situation worse. Why in the entire fuck do people think I'm finna be arguing with people on the internet when that's simply what I'm saying? I don't care about the man's intent, but you stupid as hell if you don't see that the government finna use this against Robert Kelly. That shit's stupid. See how this
If you have a
going?
credit score under 600, this is my favorite credit hack.
But you see how this going. I have people coming at me from both sides. You got the people against Robert Kelly. You got the people that's supposed to be for R. Kelly. But then the people for R. Kelly, instead of sitting back watching me being overly offended, should have been doing their own damn research. But wait, I forgot. They were following Musclehead Don Russell, who said he had all the information to free R. Kelly. But in fact, the only thing he ended up doing was getting a light sentence on his bullshit, going to jail, getting out, and guess what? R. Kelly's still in jail. So where the fuck is this damn information at? Huh? Now pause. At this time, this is when Bonjean enters the picture. And to the right from those collages, what I'm displaying is the fact that she separated herself from all of the defense team that was there. That signals what I'm saying about the fact that we're putting in the forefront that this defense team was ineffective. They already got rid of the people they wanted to get rid of with all of their allegations and bullcrap. They already put into position the people that they wanted in position. And yet they still didn't do a damn thing to help R. Kelly. But in fact, people overlooked. If you notice the chick with the red shirt in the collage, I've made other imagery with her. She was Azriel's attorney. She was also Diana Copeland's attorney. So I'm sitting here looking like, ain't that a conflict? Why would the prosecutor's witness attorney also be the prosecutor's star witness attorney? She's still going to see R. Kelly. They sitting here talking about Nicole has a conflict of interest. The super fans on here talking about Nicole has an inappropriate relationship with R. Kelly and Azriel. And nobody would put two and two together that what we're looking at as a representation of the ineffective counsel. What you see here is, as I was mentioning about the Surviving Lies page, we knew that they shut that down. And according to how they presented it to the public, they wanted us to believe that R. Kelly was behind this Surviving Lies. I just told you that Cash told me that this was her ideas. However, she said her idea was Surviving the Lies. Don Russell came out with the Surviving Lies. And then we have these pages such as Kel's Nations and others who were going back and forth with people like the Olsen twins that would show me just as much conflict that was going on within the defense team. There was clear conflict with this so-called inner circle. Now, what the conflict was about ain't my business to speculate on, but that's what I was showing you with an image such as this. You had the so-called inner circle and the fan club members and managers all in confusion, going at each other. You had the accusers going at each other, exposing each other. And you had all these people taking the focus off of the allegations being made that could have been easily discredited from the beginning. Like, for example, even if you wanted to humor this STD claim and you ignore that Robert Kelly could have easily, they could have easily got his medical records the same way the prosecutors could have got that medical record and proved or denied this or that. We could speculate all day as to where these individuals, if they even got an STD, where they got it from when they're saying they were active with other individuals. When you have other individuals such as this Bubba Ruby Cristal character who's also all up in these fan groups being looked over, even though so many other people involved in these storylines have connected this individual, Bubba, it should again raise the red flags as to why I feel like a lot of these people were again more comfortable dealing with the entourage than with R. Kelly, especially when if they had given more detailed dates instead of like I pointed out long time ago when it came to the dates on these indictments, usually you have specific dates associated with crimes. They wouldn't even put specific dates. So even when I did my research, the point that I demonstrated when I pulled up the Google and the time frame when Jerronda Pace had her allegation, June 2009, clearly the point in displaying that he was in Africa at that point was also to bring the fact that if you had the individuals who had this man's books, his travel schedules, all of that, they should have been able to come into court and either confirm or deny where this man was to give him an alibi, considering that would have been more valid than just not putting up a defense. So when you come to the realization that even the likes of people like Bubba and Cheryl Mack are still actively following each other, are still what it appears to be cordial, and even cordial with some of these accusers like the Lisa Van Allens, it should be clear why they have always been suspect to me. It's funny when it comes to these celebrities, it don't matter if they change up the characters. We see the same script. Like even when it came to Bill Cosby and this lady who allegedly scammed Bill Cosby, didn't nobody say too much or nothing about that. When it came to this Tia Ewing and putting out all of the information that she was able to spin on Fox, and you go and look at the connection with the people in the same conglomerate as Fox News, you notice that the attorney, Steve Greenberg, had a whole lot of time at that time to respond to tweets. But if you go and look at his paperwork that was being put in, you will see the red flags that I have watching all this play out. From the moment this man came out talking about he did marry Aaliyah, but she lied about her age, that was strike one. Strike two came when he came out talking about, well, when the money runs out, then R. Kelly's going to get a private investigator. Strike two. Strike three came when COVID came around and this man up here talking about he don't want to go down there to visit his client. So how are you supposed to help this man properly defend himself when time is of essence? You're wasting time. And now even to this day, when it comes to the appeal, they're saying things that should have been addressed way from the origin of these charges that should have been addressed instead of bringing back on appeal. When you see these people coming forward, to the right is a reflection of all the things that come to mind when I hear them speak. When I hear them speak about their daughter, I think about when Tiny Tim came out with his video with his baseball bat, and that was 2016. He said last time he seen his daughter was 2016. I think about that press conference when Tiny Tim and his wife and family had Ashanti McGee up there, and Angelo Clary didn't show. Meanwhile, the savages weaponized these welfare checks using the police and all these police reports to try to silence people and, in my opinion, stalk their daughter. I think about the origins of their claims and how they say all of these people were involved. But then when I get back to this RICO that the government is trying to sell us on, it just don't set well with me. Now I'm going to start this video over and I'm going to let it play, because I pretty much just set you up with what you're viewing as I speak, as I present my content, why I put the images together the way I put it together, because when depending on what I'm saying, what I'm talking about, the images reflect what things I remember that come to my mind when I'm talking about or speaking on whatever the topic may be. Anyways, let me start this video over and let's see if by the end you get both the title, which was again, Miscarriage of Justice, Tasha K versus Joycelyn Savage parents expose their own lies, the enterprise. And I want you to also, by the end of this video, recognize why I decided to use this specific video as the example to show you how I break down my collages. The fact that I have no problem with any video breaking down my thought process with each image that I presented to you. And if anybody had a question, they can ask the question instead of talking at me, talking about me, like I'm going to honor any of those questions. Okay? Let me see what y'all talking about in the chat, because I sure ain't been looking. Shout out to everybody. I'm sorry I haven't been looking. I know, T. I'm just saying, like, to me, I feel like a lot of the images are cut straight to the point. It is what I saw. It is what I remember. It's a combination of events. I don't understand how they can sit here and just be like, I'm confusing the people. If at any point in time, during all these years, if they had all the information, they could have came out here and just said exactly what they think and feel and not worry about what the hell I'm presenting over here. Not worry about what I got going over here. But the problem is that as I demonstrated to you, so many people started to engulf themselves that you can see when I was specifically focused on certain things that the people on these YouTube streets just had to come make their presence known. So when they get offended, when they see that they have been merged into the content, that's a reflection of themselves, considering they didn't have to speak on me. They ain't have to come at me. They didn't have to send me nothing. They didn't have to acknowledge me, which is what a lot of them did for years, because they didn't want to acknowledge me, period. But then when it was convenient for them, then they want to say my name. When they want to get a little traction, then they want to say or post my name. When they ain't got nothing else going, then they want to, oh, Prima Donna this or Prima Donna that. But then when Prima Donna speaks, they get to looking stupid. But anyways, I just don't see the confusion that they claim. But I could also understand that some people didn't see a lot of the information that was going on these platforms, and how I was telling people that the way they are putting all of this information on these platforms is why I side-eye the legitimacy of these so-called investigations, right? Okay, so let's get to the video.
And while all it's very obvious, it's a lot of fake personas on this internet. And while all these people would do things like invite people on their platform to identify Jane Does and enable certain storylines, people got mad at me because I'm a type of person that says what I say and I stand on it. See, the difference between me and them is I came in doing research, not feeding off of source information. So just keep in mind, all these people you've ever seen come against me should get the side eye for this simple fact. All this stuff that I brought to you, they've been aware of. Just like I told most of these geniuses, my research was done pretty much last year. But while I was pregnant, people were trying to intimidate me, putting me in fake articles, posting my child. All these things show me the mental instability on these platforms. And all these people that sat by and cheered these individuals on, are now looking crazy.
Now, mind you, this was 3 years ago. Now, for those of y'all paying attention, the fact that this same shit's still going on, it gives you insight. Something wrong with these people. This is not normal behavior. The fact that they can sit on their platforms and act like when I say something that I just all of a sudden just woke up and decided to start fucking with them instead of realizing they must have did something or said something to trigger me. I'm not going to be engaging with their subscribers trying to say nothing other than they can keep their motherfucking ass over there. You feel me? But back to the video.
And some of them got a little touch of amnesia, considering these same people guaranteed you they had information to free this man. They had all this information they were providing to this person, that person. They were collecting money over here and over here. And they just wanted to keep bringing me into their personal bullshit. But what's funny is the same way these individuals wanted me to call out specific individuals, they must have forgot it's a lot of things that I could have called out early on, including being bunched in this R. Kelly sector and being put on this Kale's United or whatever this team was that they devised. When I clearly said out my mouth, I didn't think none of the things that was going on was appropriate. Yet, people would let other individuals get on their platforms, shift their thought process on everything but Robert Kelly, and you wonder why you're still confused. What's crazy is, if all these individuals that claim they wanted to support Robert Kelly had stayed out of the way of the defense trying to supply all this information that obviously wasn't used, it would make more sense for people to start waking up and see what we watched play out intentionally. It's a little easier to say free R. Kelly after a lot of people have put in the groundwork to show you the things that these bullshit ass sources didn't want to tell you, while I came out here as one of the first on the scene letting you know how these fans were being manipulated in these groups. While this man's world was collapsing, his fans were in these groups talking about how fine he is and all this irrelevant stuff being led by the people scamming in these groups. But as I said long ago, they were not my focus. My focus were these characters who came out on these public platforms with these salacious stories. And if people paid attention, you would realize that even the person that was the mouthpiece for Angela Slow over there began to watch my content and see the holes and the narratives that his friend was giving him. The same way all these geniuses on the internet talking about this New York trial and associating it with this man's 2008 trial, talking about he's gotten his karma. But we'll see if they'll have that same attitude when this Me Too movement takes aim on regular schmegler people like your son. So let's break this down for the slow people. Just like I said, these accusers shouldn't be all on social media planting these stories. I said that nobody with common sense should be looking at my videos as a defense, because common sense would be if his defense wanted to use any evidence, they would subpoena the correct resources, not rely on YouTube. Now let that sink in. Or in other words, think of it like this. I told you, we have no control over certain things that we're watching play out. So while people want to keep you emotionally bothered, making you feel like you have any control, don't be looking at me when you get scammed when all these people across the board are janky as fuck.
When my father passed, we have to always reach out through his camp. Robert Sylvester's camp. In the same time that we had to reach out through his camp through my father, the same way we did, the same way this time from Chandler's mother. No response whatsoever. It's time up for that. It's just time out for all that. She needs to come.
Joseph, we need to hear from you directly.
Absolutely.
We've always heard the third-party information. And we were able to hear from her directly without what I call prison calls, where the calls are scripted and they are known to be scripted.
Everybody wants to say she's grown. Let me hear from a grown woman. I want to hear from my daughter. That's what I want to hear from. I want to hear from no third party. I want to hear exactly from Jocelyn Savage, period.
And we would like to have a one-on-one discussion with you as a family.
Listen, Robert is locked up. All these enablers need to move aside.
I ain't playing no motherfucking games with you, boy. I gave you 120 hours to get back in touch with me, nigga. But fuck them 120 hours, nigga. You talking about my daughter. You know you're supposed to be working with her music, R. Kelly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Robert R. Kelly, the singer, you bitch ass nigga. I got you, boy. Yeah, come fuck with me. This Savage, Tim Savage. Fuck you, nigga. Got you, boy.
R. Kelly, by now, you should know that you should come see me. You know who I am. You know who you have at your house. My daughter, Jocelyn Savage. My name is Tim Savage.
Congratulations. You just got him a wife for life. You should talk to TMZ. And just tell them you was hoodwinked, and they gonna put y'all in a position to make some money. Talk to them. I've already talked to them about it. The benefit. I'm just real, man. No, it's just I'm fine, man. I understand that. Me and my wife going through a divorce right now. Put me in a situation I gotta go through a divorce now. So Tim, I'm over Tim, you the man of your house. You can fix that shit. No, it's over, bro. That shit, I've been married for 20-some years, bro. It's over. You are the man of your house. You can fix that shit.
Now, if y'all do recall, because people have been so distorted in how all of this originated, it started with people saying that R. Kelly was holding hostages, keeping people as sex slaves, as I've been saying throughout this live. So then when all of these recordings started to emerge, it started to punch holes in their storylines, right? And then when you even had this docuseries precedents emerge from the supporters involving the father, Angelo Clary, and people get to talking about these invested interests they have with all of these docuseries and other things involving R. Kelly's intellectual property, it should be clear where a lot of people's focus was being driven to. The same thing that the government wanted, those assets. So people could sit on here even year after year to this day, talking about people's intent. But the message I gave people was how it looked as a whole to Robert Kelly, and the fact that there were legal avenues that people could have took to shut down all of these lies, including how they try to attack my channel, getting things removed. Like I can't put it right back in a different format. These are the games they play in the industry when they don't want the truth out there. Copyright strikes, privacy violations, all this and all that. So if they can do that, you ain't gonna convince me somebody like Robert Kelly couldn't have got people working for him to do the same thing to protect his brand properly, instead of people on YouTube playing dumb when they see the things that other people did that only fueled the fire to these people's lies.
I mean, you talk. I already called some folks, my brothers, all them, man. This shit, once I do that, bro, marriages don't get fixed out there. You should know this. You're a savage. Once you call brothers and tell them what the fuck going on, it's over, man. That's too much public. My brothers know what's going on, what happened, what all this shit, bro. I'm done. I mean, tell Rob he can do what he gonna do. I'll go out and make my meeting, and he got a nice wife for him. Like I said, you should talk to him. I ain't saying who else should talk to him with you, but you should. Go and talk to that man. I'm going to send you the number, call him, and tell him, listen, man, they wait, whatever. You rehearse you in this shit, they twist this shit. Whatever you got to tell them, because at the end of the day, that's still your daughter. When all of this shit, the dust settles, you're going to want a relationship with her, and what you're going to want to be out there is that, listen, man,
Listen, I screwed up, but, or maybe, I don't know if you feel that way, if you feel like you made a mistake. But whatever happened, I just wanted to, get back close to you. This is coming from a man who lost a child. So if I had it in me right now to go back in time and say 2 words to my baby girl, I would do it. I don't. So say something positive so you can have that at least out there. So when she sees it, it's public. Listen, babe, I'm sorry. I did try to make it. I'm talking about when you laying up there and she's standing over you at the end of your days, you want her to know that, goddamn it, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, and I wanted to fix this. Talk to God about the best way to get that out. And you come, because only you know what's happened. She knows too, which is why y'all are so far apart right now. You moving, playing the role to get part of a goddamn TV series to be their name affiliated with it, and I ain't get a phone call. Even did you from Tanya Burks. So let's stop making people false heroes. And I'm not saying that about anybody, because not the nation, because I know Minister Farrakhan, he definitely spoke. I think he had a private meeting with him. Nobody really know what the depths of the meeting went, but I know he did have a meeting with him. But these other ones that was a part of Lifetime and all this shit, we need them. We need them to step up and them to act like they plan a platform. All we doing is playing on each other as black people. That's it. For fame and fortune.
Ain't that a bitch? He sit there and tell y'all what it was. They needed these people to come forward, even though everybody with common sense will see what I'm saying about, I ain't the smartest in the world, but I'm pretty sure this ain't how this whole investigation should be going. But anywho, I put these specific videos on my community wall. Y'all can go back and refresh your memory. At any point in time you're confused about anything that I put on my platform, you can go to my videos, type in these people's names, type in specific keywords, and certain videos are going to pop up, because that has been the point in what I have been demonstrating. Not to just produce content to hide, delete, and lie every fucking day. The point was to document so that anybody that get confused can go and refresh their memory as to why this whole investigation was janky as hell. But anywho, hey Miss Battle, how you doing? Hello, Miss Battle. I'm going to drop the link again if anybody wants to come up before I get on up out of here. Give their comments, give their feedbacks, ask any questions they may want to ask me directly. That's another issue I had in the beginning. I'd be watching people go to other people's platform asking questions about anything I've said, did, felt, or presented instead of asking me. And then when I respond to that, the people they ask get to feeling some type of way when I'm not directly coming at them. I'm speaking the fact that can't nobody speak for me but me. So if anybody got a question or problem, you should direct it here, not on other channels. Okay? Anybody want to come up? Here's your chance. Voice your opinions. Give your feedback. What do you think about Tasha K dropping these old clips and skipping around while R. Kelly is now suing her ass, the BOP, as we watch the DOJ being exposed for all of the misconduct going around here? And it's not just with R. Kelly. The fact that R. Kelly supporters should have heard me loud and clear say, I don't know if you just under a spell or under a rock, but just because this is R. Kelly, them people ain't finna show no mercy when it comes to these charges. So at the end of the day, we can keep talking about he's the king of R&B, he's this, he's that, he don't have to do this and he don't have to do that. But anybody with common knowledge and know, especially if you're from the South, you gonna be guilty until you prove your innocence. Now, even though we saw a different effect when it came to Diddy, we also saw a different strategy with the defense that we did not see with Robert Kelly, even to this day with the people fighting for Diddy. Seemed like to me the people on Kelly's side need to be over there taking notes, the same way the prosecutors in Diddy case was trying to take notes from the prosecutors from R. Kelly case. Same way I'm saying them prosecutors that Daryl McDavid's attorney Bo is saying should be disqualified should get the same effect that the prosecutor got in Diddy's case. Hello? But people keep asking, why do people associate Diddy and R. Kelly? Oh, because you support R. Kelly, you must support Diddy. Well, I'm just going to tell you the same consistent message I've had even when it came to R. Kelly. I have a problem with these prosecutors being able to present these janky ass cases with limited evidence and then being able to use the RICO laws because they don't have sufficient evidence to prove their so-called bad acts. So instead of having the evidence to prove their bad acts, we're going to use these bad act witnesses who ain't credible for shit. How does that make sense? Respect it. See, I can respect the people that can follow along. I've always liked to engage with people with like minds. I am absolutely not here to debate with people who want to find issue and to find problems with everybody on the internet except themselves. Because you will come to find a lot of these people with so many outside voices, they can't tell you nothing about the case. They can't tell you nothing about anything that they researched and put forth any effort in, but got so many opinions about the research other people did in order to validate their stance in supporting a man being accused of heinous allegations. Who in their right mind would say, oh, just because it's R. Kelly, I'm going to support him even though he could have did this and he could have did that? Wouldn't you want to be reassured in your mind that you don't believe these allegations, which is why you support the individual, which will debunk the narratives of these people on the internet, right? Okay. With that said, I'm going to get off here. I've been on here an hour and 37 minutes. You know, that's about my cutoff. I guess I'm going to continue this little demonstration on another night. Again, I appreciate all of y'all for tuning in. I invite you all to go check out my community wall. Go check out my other videos that I've uploaded. Look at the playlist. Type in the names of these individuals that old Tasha Kibi wants us to believe were being kept anonymous to protect them from being harassed, even though they don't want to acknowledge why I pointed out the fact that they shouldn't have been all on these damn platforms if they want to hide behind how they're abusing these laws in order to mask this whole way they reconstructed abusing the statute of limitations. See, if they could present these allegations because they say that this happened when these girls are minors, then they can give them that cloud and protect them as these anonymous witnesses. And again, that would have worked if all these people weren't running to these platforms, running to Lifetime, running to do these interviews, running to social media, running to Snitch 9 like he gave a shit about anything but how this would benefit him. With that being said, I'm going to get out here on that note. I'm going to challenge you to go back and look at all of this that led up and why I felt like people like Kim Fox, Michael Avenatti, Gloria Allred, all of these prosecutors, the judge, and Donnelly, all of these people should be under fire right now. Now is the time to capitalize on the fact that the FBI is corrupt, the DOJ is corrupt, the BOP is corrupt. They allow shit like what we saw in R. Kelly's case in many other cases, and you crazy as hell if you think otherwise. And the main point that I've made that a lot of people don't seem to comprehend, that put R. Kelly aside. This could have been anybody's fucking child. This could have been any let me take that back, because people will take that child term literally. This could have been anybody's adult daughter that wanted to live an easy lifestyle that we see, considering everybody wants to glorify this sugar baby lifestyle. Let's link up with a rich man, hot girl summer, all that bullshit that fuels the ideas from these young women who target older men. So what we ain't gonna do is enable people to flip the script and act like these older men are manipulating these younger women when it could be completely the other way around. Okay? Some of y'all know men that are of upper age that still act like teenagers. Some of y'all know people in their 20s that act more civilized than these people in their 40s and 50s. Y'all see a lot of these damn women who old enough to be my grandmama think I'm finna be battling them on my community wall. The shit just ain't, even age ain't nothing but a number, and try to put a narrative on that. This is why I stand vigilant in doing my own research on anything I speak on. If I don't know, I'm going to say I don't know. If I'm saying this is what I believe, feel, or perceive, that's what I'm going to say. If I think it's janky, I'm going to say it's janky. If I side-eye it, you should know I have valid reason to side-eye it, like I'm side-eyeing Bo right about now. Because like I said, it should never have came to a point that the lawsuit against Tasha K and BOP should have been in a position to be dismissed through default in the first place. Whatever switching around they had going on, they should have had all this shit tight, because again, this man is running out of options, sitting on these platforms, keep talking about it like I insinuated in my video 3 years ago, ain't gonna help shit. But all I'm coming to do is to wake the people up, because that's about all I can do if you sleep. With that, y'all have a good night. I'll see y'all on the next live. Shout out to everybody in the chat.